Hey guys, it's Cash, and today I'm going to talk about scapegoating and how it plays into targeting and surveillance. I'm going to give an example, but how scapegoating works with this is usually someone is targeted because they just have different beliefs than the patterns of, let's say, a work group or a family dynamic or something like that. So usually it's the strongest member. And this is the one that everybody else is triggered by because they just see through the patterns of, for lack of a better term, tyranny that is going on in the dynamic. So now that individual that is seen to be the problem is now targeted, and the faults of this group or this family or workplace dynamic, whatever it may be, are now falling onto this specific person. Because the group, I'm not somebody that bows to things. I've never been an ass kisser. I'm not somebody that bows to things. I've never been an ass kisser.
We begin tonight with a warning to the community from a survivor of sexual abuse.
I hadn't up until that point realized what he had done was, raped me or a crime.
The man who raped her is now in prison, but she says more people need to be held accountable. Good evening. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Nadine.
The sex was always a way of him showing us how much God loved us. And the more we dedicated our lives to him here, the better place we had in heaven.
Brought here by her parents when she was just a kid, Lindsay lived with other young girls in what Bernard called the House of the Maidens.
And then it was shortly thereafter.
I'm not somebody that bows to things. I've never been an ass kisser.
Greetings to you. I have a simple topic about why victims of choice in Iraq always lose in the face of gangs of mind control, which is a lost war that these victims also fight. The same thing is repeated with any party that wants to punish the terrorist gangs in Iraq that are the ones that hit France, Belgium, America and other European countries. And their friends, the same mistake is repeated every time, and after each failure, this gang celebrates victory and increases the operations of evil here. What is the hidden reason that made all the attempts drown in the quagmire of terrorism in Iraq? Is the reason, for example, that Satan who made himself a prophet is something holy, for example, and no one can punish him no matter what he did? Or some say that killing children in France was orders from God. Of course, there is no trick and a trap. I don't know the reason for ignoring what I said. Has the entire internet been made into fake pages so that no one hears my voice, or have qualities that made me falsified that made me a person working in security, politics or the government, or I am a tribal leader, or I have an organization in Iraq, or I have followers, or I am a religious leader, a symbol, or a role model, etc. from the dirty lies that are perpetrated by mind control gangs in Iraq, and they are spying on me by means of mind control so that you see and hear everything. But even read my important thoughts now. I will republish the reality of Iraq for you. Of course, after the international forces left Iraq, Iraq fell in the hands of a giant intelligence network from the days of the former regime, led by an intelligence colonel whose leadership had fled or disappeared or they were not known, of course. It is led by something called the shadow government, and it is this intelligence network that has branches all over Iraq, and these branches wear different masks. Among them they are a non-governmental organization, a tribal or mass organization, an organization large and small, rural and city, or an international organization, or affiliated with the United Nations etc. lies in order to conceal their truth. Of course, there is no one who can hold them accountable for impersonating such false and imaginary qualities because they are the ones ruling Iraq here. When you search everywhere inside Iraq, you will not find any company from these countries or any commercial dealings with these countries have been prevented. Rather, the first thing they did was to change one of the communications networks in Iraq from the dollar to the dinar, and they said that it is their sovereignty, and this caused huge losses to these networks etc. Acts of dirtiness, including killing all friends of America and the coalition countries in Iraq and declaring war on them. Of course, I am not talking about one of the branches of this organization only, because there is a trick in this. They are all one organization and the source of the orders are its leader, not branches of it. And this is one of the most important tricks of this devil, the leader of this terrorist organization, as they are all one. The leadership of this organization must be, and after that, he says that all acts of terror that have occurred to the desire of God. This unclean game in which he tries to distort something holy, which is the Holy Spirit, and benefits from it for the sake of terror. These tricks are exposed because of 2. That the victim of choice moved anywhere inside Iraq. Also the branches of this gang exist themselves and they all operate with the same laws and the same record that unites them, but all of them are puppets in the hand of this devil and with him the homosexual security agent. Then this is the first trick he uses to make himself a neutral person with God. He is not responsible for what the branches of this gang do in Iraq, and he does this in order to continue to depend on him or to deal with him while he is a demon. The second trick is that this organization has made itself a registration and support center for terrorist gangs in all of Iraq. Of course, these gangs will claim that they are organizations. For example, a family home, for example, has been made an organization, and it is a very normal house in the district of a fake in Iraq, etc. Of course, all such gangs will say about themselves that they are organizations and the same laws are given to all of them and the same record is also given to them with extraordinary money and influence so that each of them can cancel a communication network from all of Iraq, or control the internet, or order disturbances anywhere inside Iraq, or control the electricity, or its generator electricity, health or municipality in the market, or cut off the ration card materials, raise the price of any food or other material, or appoint people in the police or other state departments, etc. Among the extraordinary powers inside Iraq, of course, this devil is the one who gave them these, but these powers have red lines and they are not dealing with the United States of America, the countries of Europe and their friends, of who completely control Iraq and all are under the control of this devil. Of course, this fact is not known to the countries of Europe at all and believes one that Iraq is a state as they are, but this is not true. Terrorism is the fixed shadow government that does not change at all. 3. The source of the decision is completely also because mind control is present and does not change, because it is an essential part of this organization. I mean, it does not change at all by changing any ostensible government, because it is in the established government of terrorism that is the one who rules Iraq completely and is the source of the decision in it. This is the second mistake. It is like once I went to a responsible person in the government to file a complaint against him against the mind control, but I found that this is nothing but a donkey that they brought to sit on the chair only and smile among us. There is another group who leads this position, so speak with someone who is nothing, or the matter is like the ministers of the regime previously, when they went to negotiate with nothing in their hands, nor did they have any authority, but even shaking hands with others, they took a license with it. So from this, you know that the source of the decision is hiding itself in Iraq, which is terrorism, and it controls everything here. All of them do nothing. Now we come to the third to see a killer trap set by terrorism. Of course, I drew for you a simple illustration. Notice the quarrel in the drawing. You notice the head is Satan, who is the leader of this terrorist organization, and he is in his possession all the records of this organization and they all work with the same laws that he invented and there is no party or organization they work with them, and they are not legitimate laws at all through which he controls everything. We also know that this devil divided his organization in two halves. When any party comes to Iraq to hold these gangs accountable, see what will happen. A group will appear claiming to be against terrorism, or our friend or something different. Unfortunately, they are relied upon and give confidence to them. Do you know who this group is? They are an restoring a false group of friends. Not are the irons of this devil, and also work with the same laws, and the record in his hand is also the elements of the homosexual security agent, and this means that they and the terrorist group are a family and one district. This is the fatal mistake or the quagmire that drowned many attempts to punish this organization. Of course, unfortunately, there is also no side in Iraq against it at all. Also among them, this wrong situation is quite similar to a deception carried out by the previous regime in Iraq, which we have declared the freedom of political pluralism in Iraq, and the representative of the United Nations came to Iraq, but all these parties were just two hawks, all of them followed. Sikhisat. For the foreign regime and all of their leaders are intelligence officers affiliated with the regime. Of course, they have killed many idiots inside Iraq and the simple ones who have fallen into this trap as well. There is another game that did not work, which is that the previous regime gave orders to go outside Iraq, but no one believed them here. They were lying and saying they are independent parties or they have plans etc. of lies, and after this failure the regime cancelled this game, because it did not work, but the problem is that this Satan in Iraq is still playing with it, and I do not know who believes in him or believes that a member of this family of Satan could be different or independent. Of course, this game in which this devil tries to deceive others, of course, the only solution is not to deal with him and with his entire organization. This is all this school of Satan in which they learned the laws of Satan and recorded their names in it. They are all dangerous and they are not independent but just cows in the hand of this terrorist devil as he tries to impose dealing with his dirty organization. This and no one else was a family. They are liars and crooks, one is raised and another is squeezed. He hides, one becomes a terrorist and the other makes himself a friend in order to protect his brother terrorism, or one becomes a thief while his brother is made to become a policeman and thus no one holds him accountable. 7. As for the victims of this election of the scapegoat, the truth is that I do not find a suitable description for them, but they are something like a country in which there is no law and there is a gang and the leader of this gang by making a person who has nothing to do with this gang as if he is the leader and throws all the responsibility on him while he hides himself or resembles a government official in Iraq. A thief sits on a chair but claims that he is the secretary of the victim of choice and she is responsible for every action he takes or orders from her and depends on the issue. Its filth in Iraq is the disappearance of the law and the transformation into the gang's law that governs Iraq. It is a law that treads on the head of the weak, the poor, or the simple. Here, Iraq is governed by the gang law only. He can absolutely make another citizen like a scapegoat for him without any desire or approval, but through gang laws, he can here say that the victims of choice are not at all a religious leader, but rather a body in which Satan enters only. They are nothing but a dollar. They resemble the likeness of a head of state. He is made a front in order to bear the danger, but there are delusional games that this gang performs in order to make the victim of choice act behaviors that give their lives legitimacy, so if he acts as he is as a simple citizen, this will fail their plans or no one will believe in the lies that they are spreading against him, so he must act as if he is a person who leads or has a position, and this is through a lie. Its name is that God chose him and there is an authority that he obtained or something that made him a person with a voice, or there is a sacred organization that became for him and it is from God. Of course, this is not an organization, but rather terrorist gangs. I mean they want 8. To make the victim believe that he got a position, or he had an intelligence organization, or became a leader, or became a role model, etc. Of course, all of this is a lie only, because it is only tricks that are intended to make him act as if he is a leader or a position holder, or that God hears his words while he is a devil terrorist spying with the mind control and made himself the voice of God or prophet, and this is the son of the filth. For example, when you say the victim and pray to God to give strength and success to America and the countries of Europe, this terrorist spy who made himself the voice of God rejects this than any voice is that a despicable terrorist. 9. Of course, this is a terrorist who struck France, Belgium, America and others, and his head must also be crushed. Everyone who deals with him must also be considered a traitor. This is a terrorist organization in Iraq, and it is not a sacred organization at all. The name of God is also pronounced, everything from him must be cut off.
A self-help guru groomed women for sex, subjecting them to shame and humiliation and threatening to expose their deepest secrets if they didn't comply with his wishes. RT correspondent Brigida Santos has the full story. Brigida, what a... It's almost like you can't push the limits in weird and stories anymore. What are the prosecutors alleging in this case against Keith Raniere?
The prosecutors are accusing Keith Raniere of creating an organization known as NXIVM that was advertised as a professional self-help coaching and educational business, but actually operated more like an expensive pyramid scheme / master-slave sex cult. During ongoing trial proceedings, the assistant U.S. attorney has described the NXIVM leader as a predator who sexually exploited women, often humiliating and blackmailing them with collateral, which came in the form of naked photos or damaging secrets. One of the females Raniere reportedly exploited and sexually engaged with was actually underage. And last week, a witness testified that Raniere also psychologically manipulated and broke his followers through near-starvation diets, forced sex, and isolation. Now, he reportedly labeled anyone who questioned him and his teachings a suppressive person and encouraged his followers to distance themselves from these so-called bad influences. This is something straight out of the cult playbook.
So, Brigida...
You're no longer welcome in the kingdom of heaven.
You made me believe in the sanctity of marriage and damn me for sleeping with Robbie.
I think we've heard enough now.
Yeah, I'm not somebody that bows to things. I've never been an ass kisser.